Thinking about buying your first pair of dance shoes, or perhaps upgrading your current pair of dance shoes for a better model and not too sure where to start? Well, this is the video for you. I'm going to be diving into telling you my top tips for choosing the best dance shoe for Kizomba. Hi, I'm Christina Mckiztosh of Mckiztosh Dance. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things Kizomba and urban kiz. And today I'm giving you some inside intel of the dance shoes that I choose and the dance shoes I have. What are the best things to be looking out for, or what things you should be considering when you're buying a dance shoe? So the first thing I want to talk about is why you need to consider buying dance shoes. If you're dancing kizomba, salsa, or bachata, any of those Latin dances, why you actually need to consider buying and investing in dance shoes rather than street shoes. So I have a pair of street shoes. Well, I have two pairs of street shoes here. Right, so these are street shoes that you would buy just wherever you normally buy shoes. I don't know, you could buy shoes from lots of places. So they normally have like a leather or hard sole. They normally don't have any padding here. So one of the main reasons why you need to consider a dance shoe is dance shoes normally have some sort of padding, so it helps your feet not get so tired so quickly, so you're not getting fatigue in your feet. You're able to last longer in the shoe. Dance shoes also support your feet in a way for your dancing that street shoes don't. A bugbear, normally when you start dancing, especially social dancing like salsa, and then you normally find kizomba after that, you're normally going to be in a street heel because you kind of don't know any better. Um, the one bugbear I have kind of for any dancing, even if it's like heels, choreography, dancing, commercial dancing, is a block heel. They are very clunky, so you're not able to be precise and accurate in your movement. Like, I think they're one of the worst things to be dancing in. Do you know what I mean? Unless you're kind of just like on a normal night out in a club, you shouldn't be wearing these kind of shoes dancing at all. The other thing is to be aware of in a street shoe, but in general, I'll talk about it more. Is the fact of the strapping. This is the strap around the ankle, but there's no support for the actual foot in the middle of the foot here. So they're very bad for any kind of kizomba or Latin dancing. They're not very good at all. So this is the reason why you want to not be using street shoes. The one thing I would say about kizomba is that we can actually get away with street shoes. I know I'm trying to, not convince you, but tell you the disadvantages of street shoes. But you can get away with a street shoe if you're an advanced dancer. You can get away with a street shoe compared to, say, salsa and other Latin dances. Because kizomba is mainly a walking dance, you can kind of get away with it. And I do mean kizomba rather than sort of like urban kiz, because urban kiz at the moment is having a lot of technical steps, and if you cannot do any technical step in something like this, you'll just be too slow. As I say, that your precision in your movements is just not going to work. So that being said, if you are a higher skilled dancer, you can get away with wearing something like this. And I have worn these to a kizomba night. But like I said, because of the lack of padding, my feet do tire very quickly. Um, but you can get away with it. Maybe you didn't imagine ending up in a kizomba event that night when you went out. But you were able to do a bit of dancing in them if that happens. But they're not something that I would wear to try and actually dance kizomba. So a big consideration you need to be thinking about when you're buying a dance shoe is the heel height. And you need to be thinking about, you need to dance in a heel height that you're comfortable with, especially if you're starting out on your dance journey. If you're starting out in your dance journey, you need a smaller heel. You need to kind of get comfortable to dancing in heels, and your weight distribution and balance is different in a heel compared to like a flat shoe. So it's something you need to kind of get the skill of gradually. So you need to start with a smaller heel. I would say about 5-6 centimeters at max, which is about like 2-3 inches. There's also a consideration to make of the type of heel. So you've got your like stiletto heel, like Latin dance shoes that you can buy. You can get shoes with flared heel and Cuban heel. So those heels create a bigger surface area for your weight to be distributed over. So they really do help with your balance and kind of like your precision. If you're, and especially when you're starting out, if you can purchase a flared heel or a Cuban heel, you might want to do that. Um, I don't mind flare heels. Like I just showed you, I have a pair of flared heels. They're fine. For me, I didn't like a Cuban heel because I just don't like the aesthetic of a Cuban heel. So that is one thing just for me. I find them a bit too broad and clunky. But if you're starting out, there's no problem with starting out with a Cuban heel or a flared heel, rather than a stiletto for your first one. But definitely, as I said, avoid block heels that you get in street shoes. Consideration number two that you need to have is how much support does the shoe give you? Support of the ankle is really the main thing you want to be looking at. And how does that shoe fit? So you want a good fitting shoe. Yeah, this is actually the worst shoe I have. It's actually really uncomfortable. Um, but I'll talk about the good things about the shoe first, and then I'll talk about why it's uncomfortable and what you need to avoid for it to not be uncomfortable. So as I was saying, you need a shoe that actually supports your ankle. So this is really good. It has a good like cuff there that the whole ankle it would be encased. Um, the strapping, you need to think about the strapping. So this actually is supporting like my whole foot because the strapping kind of goes round. And then this is a really common clasp that you get in Latin dance shoes where you kind of have the buckle and then you fit the buckle there. It's like rather than you actually doing up a buckle like you normally would, the buckle's done and then you kind of slide it in place. And then to take it away, you unhook it. There's like a hook there, so it's quite secure. So you do definitely want to be thinking about how much support around the ankle there is, and the ankle needs to is better supported when there's some sort of sturdy strap or a um a boot where your whole foot is in kind of encased. The fit, why this shoe isn't a good fit for me is actually it's too big. So you need to try and buy your size when it comes, try it on. And if it is too big, return it. Just return it because what happened is this was too big and I thought, oh, I'll get away with it. And there was like a bit of a gap in the back of my, when I put my foot in it. And it's so uncomfortable. That gap is rubbing on my foot. I really can't last very well in the shoe, even though I like the design of the shoe. It does support the ankle, like I said. It's a flared heel that gives me that extra stability. But just because it's actually like about half a size too big, it renders the shoe pretty much useless. So ankle, how much it supports your foot is really, really important. I mentioned previously before padding, that helps the fit and the comfort. So definitely try and get a shoe that has some padding. This has like some soft suede type material and padding there that would help my feet not get so tired so easily. So the main consideration you want to think about is how much support you're getting from that shoe. Another really, 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 really important thing, top tip number 3 is the material that the bottoms of the shoe is made out of, the sole of the shoe. So you need to be looking at the sole of the shoe or reading in the, if you're buying online, reading in the specification what the sole of the shoe is made out of. So the main thing with dance shoes, the main thing that's categorizing a dance shoe from a street shoe is the sole, really. And the sole needs to, ideally, you want suede soles. So the suede sole, um, even though it's a bit worn out now, but a suede sole, it's just like a soft material. It's really good for spins and turns. It, like, helps you glide, and it gives you a smoother um, way of dancing. You're able to dance a lot more smoother because you're kind of gliding rather than stepping. Then you have to step. So a suede bottom is really, really good. Um, I'll speak about this shoe. This shoe also has a suede bottom, so it's really good for, like I was saying, spins, turns. Um, there's a lot of like cross stepping urban keys. You get a smooth movement from it, so you can kind of like glide. The problem with this shoe, or something to consider, because this shoe is actually from Narissa, which is a well-known kind of UK brand. Um, and I do like these shoes. I love these shoes. I love the design. But they're a platform. So rather than the previous shoe where it's kind of flat, this has like a platform here. So this platform makes it look nice. And you would have thought, okay, my foot is going to be more level because of the platform. But you do need to think about it's harder to do your movements. So I wouldn't recommend this a platform for if you're a beginner. Um, you need to be able to already be at a good level of dancing or comfortable in your dancing, because there's more effort that you have to do to be precise. You're not able to kind of point your toe as easy or feel the floor as easy. So if you're doing steps sort of like in urban clears, I was saying about cross step, your foot, you have to kind of put yourself on the ball of your foot even more. Like, you have to actually work harder to do that. So a platform, I wouldn't recommend it for a beginner. I do have this shoe. I do wear this shoe in dance, and it looks really beautiful. That's what I get marks on. Um, but I kind of keep these as like best dress shoes, best dancing shoes. I wouldn't use it in my like kind of day to day social dancing or teaching. I wouldn't necessarily use them. They're kind of like my best shoes, because I know that I have to do that kind of extra work in my foot to execute the movements. Another common sole material is rubber. So you have a rubber dance shoe. This one is rubber. Again, something I forgot to mention, and I will mention again later on in the video, is with suede dance shoes, you cannot wear them outside. If there's moisture like rain, you're going to ruin the dance shoe. And rubber as well is not as a big impact as suede in terms of moisture, but again, you want to avoid wearing them outside. Although you can, because they're rubber. Um, I would avoid it, to be honest, especially if you've spent a lot of money on the dance shoe. So the rubber sole, the difference is you're not going to get as much smoothness, like sliding, and it's harder to spin in them. But say if the dance floor is like very slippery, then this adds a bit of friction, and helps you on dance floors that are like maybe too slippery. Like I said, if you're unsure about whether the floor is, because even though you're inside, not all inside flooring is the same. So if you're unsure about the flooring, maybe it's like a warehouse kind of place that you're going to be dancing in, and they haven't put flooring down. If you're unsure about the flooring, I would go for rubber, because, like I said, the suede sole is more fragile, and the environment impacts that shoe more than, say, a rubber shoe. So it is one thing to potentially consider. Um, if you've only got the budget to kind of buy one dance shoe, I would go with the suede as being the one that you would go for first, and then later on in your dance journey, if you can add a rubber one, then it's a nice alternative to have as well in your kit. They're making street shoes but adapting them for dance, and this is the kind of shoe that is here. So this shoe is actually from Shein, but it is advertised as like a jazz shoe, um, so for dancing. And there are definitely modifications they've made. So even though the bottoms are like basically like a street shoe where it's just like hard bottoms, um, the difference is that it's not a thin stiletto heel. one modification, but the main modification is that they've still got padding inside, so it doesn't, your feet, like I said, it's that additional comfort, and because it's like a boot, it gives me a good ankle support as well. So it's still a shoe, and this is the main dance shoe that I use for social dancing and teaching. This is the main shoe I use for that, and because I got, like I said, I got it from Shein, you can benefit from lower prices, which means that you're not too worried about kind of wear and tear that happens with any shoe. And I think these were about 30 quid from Shein, and I would if you're starting out, definitely I would probably go for something like Shein. My first ever dance shoe I bought from Amazon, um, and I think that's a good place to start. Again, it was very affordable. It was probably around the same 20-30 pound mark. It was a smaller, because these heels, my heels that I have now are quite high because I like the aesthetics of a high heel. But when I started with a smaller heel. And Amazon had a decent enough range for that, for me to try out. So I would recommend somewhere like Amazon or Shein, somewhere where you can get like a dance shoe for quite cheap as your first shoe, definitely, or your shoe that you kind of use as your kind of rough wear and tear shoes that you go to maybe um, classes in, so that you're not worried about messing up the dance shoe or getting scuffs on it. Which does bring me on to price. So the price of a dance shoe is something you're going to consider. As I was saying, there is a saying: you buy cheap, you buy twice. But at the same time, if it's you've started, you're just starting on your journey, I would buy a cheaper shoe, like I say, from like Amazon or Shein, to see how you get on with them, and then you can kind of, then as you kind of progress, maybe you want to start doing performances, you need to invest in a more expensive shoe that can support your foot a bit better, or has the bottoms, suede bottoms that you need. Just aesthetically, the more expensive shoes tend to have more range in design, have nicer designs. So price is something that you're gonna have to consider. Like I said, on the cheaper range, you kind of like about £30. The more expensive shoes, so like I was saying, Larissa is a brand that is quite reputable, well known. These are Larissa's. You're looking at about like £150. um I like to try my shoes on, so I don't really like to buy online, especially if it's a more expensive shoe. I don't like to buy online. And so the reason why I bought Larissa is because they were at a festival, and I was able to kind of look at all the designs and try the shoe on a little bit, before making the purchase. So I would say potentially going to a festival and looking at the shoes, so that you can try on there. And then even if you don't, maybe they don't have your size, you've tried it on, or you've tried shoes on from that brand. So then you can maybe go online, and buy. These again were around the same, like 150. I bought them in euros, but they were around the same, about £150, or maybe a little bit cheaper because I bought them a few years ago. I liked the African design, and the strapping that they had to support my foot and ankle. These are the rubber bottom ones. So it's not necessarily you buy cheap, you buy twice, but I think just as your journey kind of goes on, you might invest in a more expensive shoe to get some of those design comforts, or just aesthetic design that you kind of want. Lastly, brings me on to aesthetics, even though I'm going to talk about how you can maintain your shoe afterwards. But aesthetics, um, I don't know if it's a woman thing, but or just a human being thing. You kind of go through the aesthetics first, rather than the other things that I've talked about that you need to really consider, like the heel height and the shape of and the fit and the comfort and the support that the shoe gives to you. But aesthetics are an important thing. There's lots of designs. A lot of Latin shoes, that you get have like sparkly ones. I'm not too much of a sparkly girl. That's why I bought these ones, because they were like black still, but had a bit of sparkle. Unfortunately, these shoes, like I mentioned, don't fit me very well. So These ones, where did I get these from? They were like mid range. They were about, I think they were from Amazon as well. And they were about £40. So yeah, you could also try. Talked about Larissa. Um, those ones were somewhere called. They were an Italian. It was Italian festival. It was Italian maker, but they were called Wish. But I think there's another brand that's called Wish. So I don't necessarily think that's the brand I bought, but it was called Wish Dance Shoes. There's Light in the Box. That's a company, and Dance and Sway. I bought Dance and Sway before, but they didn't fit very well and sent them back. So there are companies that you can buy from, and then if they don't fit, you can send them back. But there might be a fee to send them back, and there will also that's why I prefer trying something on in real life, so I don't have to pay this fee and have the faff of trying it on. That time period doesn't work and I have to send it back. And also there's sometimes a delivery fee if the online seller is not based in your country, like say they're based in China. It takes a long time for you to get your shoe, which I don't like that length of time. It's all a bit of a drawn out process. But you can try online retailers. I do have friends that have, like I said, bought from Light in the Box. I've tried Dance and Sweater, but there are loads. I think there's another dance shoe called Joella, um, that I've seen a friend wear, and she recommends them. So there's lots of places you potentially buy online. But if you're kind of like me, I'm an Amazon girly, especially ones that has free returns, um, and or at the actual festival where I can try it on and see it for myself. Kizomba nights, they tend to have themes, and aesthetically as well, even without the theme codes, you want a shoe that kind of goes with all your outfits or most of your outfits, so you're not like, oh, I can't wear this, it doesn't go with clashes. So black is a good place to start. Black will go with most of your things. I like the grey because although it goes with a lot of things, it also goes with lighter outfits. So like if you're wearing white, um, like if compared if you're wearing like a white dress and you wear a black shoe, you can do it, but I find that sometimes the black shoe looks a bit harsh. So having a grey option is good. Silver, grey is pretty much silver, but also gold is a good option to have. Like once you've bought a black shoe, I would say silver or gold would be the next one that I would go for. That kind of goes with everything. Um, and it also, like if you're wearing jewelry, it kind of goes, or you can easily wear gold rather than silver. Most people have silver and gold, so it's easy to kind of accessorize the lighter colors. Like if you're wearing, like say, a pink dress and you don't want the harshness of a black shoe, gray is a really good option, or gold is a really good option. Other people that I see go with red. Red, there's lots of, even though you think, oh, it's red, there's lots of shades of red. So sometimes you might have a red dress and think, oh, a red shoe will go with it. And then you actually put it on and it's a different type of red and doesn't really go as much. Um, Red is nice because they do stand out. But again, it can clash with some colours, I find. I don't have a red dance shoe. It's definitely not one color I would pick for first, but if you've kind of got your black ones, you've got your silver or gold ones, then yeah, you could try with red one next potentially, and it will go with a decent amount of things. Um, Especially for Kizomba, one of the main themes they always choose is African Night. So I actually love these pair of shoes, and it's one of the reasons why I think I bought it in the first place, because it was an African Night, and I thought, oh, well, I can always wear these shoes when they say African Night. Um, you think that the pattern would clash with a lot of things, but because the pattern has a lot of colors in it, like it's got blue, it's got burgundy, green, it has like yellow, gold, so it goes with a lot of my outfits actually. And even if I wear it with another African print and then wear the African shoes, it doesn't clash. So it actually works really well. It also works really well with white outfits just because it's got the white strap there. So I find African prints do work really well because they've got normally a lot of colours in them that you can kind of take and use as your dress or trouser or whatever you're wearing. And African night as a theme is very common in Kizomba. So if you haven't got like a full African outfit, you can put your African shoes on and Bob's your uncle. As I mentioned, you want to look after your shoes once you've purchased them, especially if you've spent or invested more money into them. So a couple of things you need to be aware of, or that you can potentially purchase to maintain your shoes, is a suede brush. So that kind of restores the suede and the grip on the suede to help you keep spinning well and smooth on the dance floor. So a suede brush you can have. Like I said, making sure you do not wear your shoes, your dance shoes that have suede bottoms or rubber soles outside, because that will ruin the bottoms. Also, you can buy the heel protectors. Heel protectors work both in two ways, or two main ways. One, it helps protect your floor. So there's some venues that you go to and they don't want, or they ban kind of like stiletto shoes. So if you've got a heel protector, you still protect their floor. So hopefully you won't get any qualms about having dance shoes or dance heels on their floor. And two, it kind of protects the heel so that you don't have to re-heel them. I've had like my African pair print shoes that I had to re-heel those. And then that's the reason why I ended up actually buying heel protectors, because I don't want to have to keep re-heeling my shoes. If you sweat a lot, when you come back from dancing, give your shoes time to kind of air out in like an open space as well, so that you can kind of protect the shoe from general wear and tear. So those are my top considerations that you need to have when you're choosing your dance shoe and also maintaining your dance shoe. Let me know in the comments, what do you do to maintain your shoes? Is there any points that I've missed that you think is a good consideration to also think about, so you can help your fellow dancers out in the comments? Don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video with a friend, and I'll see you in the next video.